Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're breaking down a genuinely fascinating academic analysis by researchers Ruqayyah Hamis Juma Al-Falahi and Dr. Khadija Al-Nisayiri. And look, they tackle a subject that literally impacts every single one of us who has ever held a job, managed a team, or even just relied on a government service. We're going to look at the absolutely crucial relationship between administrative leadership strategies and institutional excellence, specifically looking through the lens of Oman Vision 2040. I want you to think about your own workplace experiences for just a second. Does your boss's leadership style determine whether your company just barely survives or if it truly actually thrives? You know, the research we're unpacking today argues that leadership is definitely not just a fancy title or a little box on an organizational chart. Finding the perfect leadership style is, in fact, the ultimate engine for institutional excellence. It's the core mechanism that actually drives a nation's development forward. Okay. Let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with Vision 2040 and institutional excellence, then define exactly what administrative leadership is and trace the evolution of theories. After that, we'll look at management styles, explain why democracy is the key to excellence, and finally, wrap up with the foundations of effective leadership. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Vision 2040 and Institutional Excellence, aligning with national goals. To really ground this academic theory, we have to step back and look at the big picture. Modernizing a nation, especially to achieve something as ambitious as Oman Vision 2040, requires us to recognize that the government institution is the absolute backbone of a nation. Achieving true sustainability means we have to break away from those old, rigid, top-down bureaucratic hierarchies. You know, the ones where employees are treated like just cogs of a machine. We have to move toward a dynamic environment that fosters genuine across-the-board excellence. Moving on to Section 2. What is administrative leadership? The art of management. Before we get into the heavy theories, ask yourself what actually makes a leader effective. Now, what's really interesting here is this quote from management theorist Fred Edward Fiedler. It totally shifts the focus away from simply managing tasks to navigating highly dynamic human relations. Leadership is defined here as a continuous, interactive process. It's about influencing others, adjusting to internal and external environments, and crucially, this is the big one, managing emotions and human interactions to hit a shared goal. That brings us to Section 3, Evolution of Leadership Theories, from great men to transformational leaders. So, are leaders born or are they made? Well, it's a question that has basically driven the entire history of administrative psychology. Back in antiquity, we had the great man theory, the belief that leaders are simply born rulers. Fast forward to the 18th century, and this evolved into trait theory, which focused on innate psychological characteristics. Then, right around the mid-20th century, we finally hit interactive theory. This is where we realized leadership is actually a complex dance between the leader, the group, and the environment. The 1970s brought us the path goal theory, linking a leader's behavior directly to employee satisfaction. That naturally paved the way for transactional theory in 1978, focusing on mutual exchange. And finally, we arrive at the 21st century's gold standard. And that gold standard is transformational leadership. This modern concept is heavily built on elements developed by theorist Barnard Bass. It relies on charisma, creative encouragement, and paying individualized attention to people. Basically, this theory acts as a massive engine for innovation. It empowers employees by aligning their own personal motivations with the overarching public interest goals of the institution. It literally transforms the workplace from a place of mere compliance into a vibrant hub of active engagement. Now, for Section 4, Management Styles, Who Succeeds? Evaluating the engine types. If leadership is our engine, what are the different engine types out there? Well, let's look at two failing extremes. On one side, we have the laissez-faire, or anarchic style. This is your classic passive, just let them work approach. It causes absolute chaos, overlapping roles, and essentially zero accountability. It's kind of like putting a brick on the gas pedal of a car that doesn't have a steering wheel. On the other side, we've got the dictatorial style. Here, the leader monopolizes every single decision and demands absolute obedience. While laissez-faire causes chaos, the dictatorial style suffocates the organization, completely crushing employee morale and killing any chance for creativity. Both of these extremes will absolutely destroy an institution's output. Let's get to the good stuff in Section 5, Democracy, the key to excellence, the ultimate blueprint for success. So, if total negligence and suffocating control are both going to fail, what is the specific blueprint required to actually reach Vision 2040? Let's contrast autocratic with democratic leadership. The autocratic leader might be able to artificially force some short-term production using fear, threats, and a strict carrot and stick approach, but it's just not sustainable. The democratic leader, on the other hand, delegates authority, actively collaborates on problem solving, and really focuses on human relations. This is exactly what builds the high, long-lasting morale needed for true sustainable institutional excellence. So the absolutely crucial point here is this. According to the data and the sociological breakdown in this study, democratic administrative leadership is the only type that truly achieves institutional excellence, no exceptions. It is an absolute, non-negotiable necessity for administrative development because it fundamentally respects employees as active participants, which massively boosts their drive to achieve. Finally, Section 6, Foundations of Effective Leadership. Let's look at some actionable takeaways. We know the theory now, but how do organizations actually implement this winning strategy in the real world? The study lays out 3 super vital steps. Step 1. There has to be a major cultural shift in mindset from employees working for a boss to working with a leader. Step 2. Institutions must provide both material and moral incentives. You literally have to boost motivation if you want to drive high performance. And step 3, which is foundational to Vision 2040, enforce transparency, establish strict governance, and absolutely, unequivocally reject nepotism. These are the fine-tuning mechanisms that make the democratic engine purr. And this brilliantly illustrates that modern leadership isn't just about sitting in some corner office barking orders. It is about continuous learning, regular training, applying completely transparent laws, and building an unshakable foundation of trust within your team. Without these elements, even the best-laid national plans are just going to fall flat. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Take a hard look at your own organization. Look at the teams you manage, or even the leaders you report to. Are you building a culture of rigid compliance, where people just do what they're told out of fear? Or are you actively building an engine of true democratic excellence? Because the research is crystal clear. Only one path leads to the future envisioned by Vision 2040. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you can take these insights and apply them directly to your own professional journey.